Tom Aspinall and his father have finally broken their silence, and they're far from pleased with the way the UFC handled his rise to heavyweight champion. According to his father, Andy, the announcement of Tom's championship was managed in the worst way imaginable. Instead of hearing the news directly from Dana White, Tom found out through a casual late-night text from UFC executive Hunter Campbell. During a press appearance, Andy said he couldn't imagine a less respectful approach. And when a fighter's own father, someone who's been there through every high and low, calls the moment poorly managed and questions whether any real thought went into it, you know there's a bigger problem at play. Andy stressed that becoming UFC heavyweight champion is a once-in-a-lifetime milestone, the kind of achievement that should be celebrated as a career-defining moment. Instead, Tom learned about it in the background, almost like an afterthought, which to him felt like a complete lack of respect. Many fans share the same view. This wasn't just the passing of a belt. It was a reward for years of sacrifice and hard work, and it deserved far more than a vague 3 a.m. text message.
I get a text from GC in the group chat saying, "Is this Jon Jones news real?" Quickly go on Twitter, see Dana White is holding court. Post-fight press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, shout out. And he announces to the world that Jon Jones has retired. That not only has Jon Jones retired, he has also vacated his title. And as a result, Tom Aspinall is the new UFC heavyweight champion. No longer the interim champion, he's the heavyweight champion. Something that should have happened 2 years ago when he beat Sergey Pavlovich at Madison Square Garden. Because that's really how this should have been handled from the beginning. Should have been handled. Jon Jones couldn't fight November of 2023. They called Tom Aspinall to save the day. He fights on 2 weeks' notice against Sergey Pavlovich. He knocks him out in a couple of minutes. He should have been the champion on that night. He should be approaching the 2-year anniversary of his reign. He beat Curtis Blades in July. Probably should have fought once already this year, maybe even this coming weekend.
What's up, everybody? Breaking news. So you came to the right place. ESPN MMA YouTube channel, myself. We got DC on the line to talk to his best friend, his former rival, Jon Jones, officially retiring from the sport of mixed martial arts. We knew, DC, that this had been part of the conversation. We were hoping it wasn't going to be the conversation just yet. I mean, I selfishly was hoping for a fight between he and Tom Aspinall. I don't think I'm the only one. In fact, I know the whole world was kind of hoping for that. In the end, he is not fighting Tom Aspinall. He is retiring from the sport of mixed martial arts, announced by Dana White on Saturday. Your initial thoughts to the announcement that Jon Jones is officially retired from mixed martial arts?
So my first thought, it was like, he actually did it. He actually did it. You know, like, I didn't think that he would walk away. I didn't know that, you know, he would allow for or would be able to handle what comes with making this decision right now and the optics of it, Brett. Do you understand what I'm saying? What it looks like to people. I didn't know that his ego would be able to handle walking away. I figured he would fight based on that. But he didn't. And it's crazy. I said something the other day, Brett, and I don't want this to be like me crapping on Jon Jones, but I said something on my YouTube channel. I said, if Jon Jones doesn't fight this guy, he quit. Right? He quit.
And so he is. He's walking away because he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. Because if Francis Ngannou was there or Alex Pereira was there, he'd be trying to fight those guys. He's made that very clear. He doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. And so Tom Aspinall can walk around now with his chest up, chin up, and say, I retired Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall retired Jon Jones. There is no doubt about that. Tom Aspinall's presence is the reason why Jon Jones is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion. Jon Jones said yesterday, the fight doesn't excite me. You can make a strong case that this would be the biggest Jon Jones fight since DC2 in 2017. 2017. That's how long. With all due respect to the Anthony Smiths, the Thiago Santoses, the Dominic Reyes, even Cyril Gane and Stipe. You're telling me those fights were bigger than this? What doesn't excite you about this? That you may lose? Listen, I've never subscribed to the Duck stuff, but the way this has been handled has been shameful. It's been shameful. Like I said, UFC got him the money. Once he said no, it was time to move on. Tom Aspinall wants to fight twice this year. He'd like to fight in October and at the end of the year. More likely than not, you aren't getting those 2 fights. In the prime of his life, when he's killing everyone, beating them by knockout in 60, 70, 80 seconds, he had to sit around and wait for a guy because the UFC didn't want to move on in what was something that could have been determined back in November. It's shameful. And the way John is trying to spin this by like, he's such an awesome guy. He's such a great guy. But, he could slip. And there could always be another one. It's shameful is the word that keeps coming to mind. It's conniving. It's unfortunate because John does have one of the greatest resumes of all time. He really does. If you think he's the greatest of all time, God bless. You have a very strong case. But in my opinion, George St. Pierre never embarrassed himself, never embarrassed the organization, never cheated, never got caught using PEDs, beat the undisputed champion at 170, beat the undisputed champion at 185, never held up the division, vacated the title when you needed to, came back when you needed to. There's no debate. All these things matter. And yes, he has 2 losses, and yes, he avenged both those losses.
Tom Aspinall and his father have finally broken their silence, and their words carry frustration. Andy Aspinall revealed that the UFC's handling of Tom's rise to undisputed heavyweight champion felt careless and disrespectful. Instead of hearing the news from Dana White himself, Tom got a late-night text from Hunter Campbell, almost like an afterthought. Andy didn't mince words, calling it one of the worst ways to announce such a massive milestone. Becoming UFC heavyweight champion isn't just another day at the office. It's a once-in-a-lifetime achievement built on years of sacrifice. Yet the way it was delivered robbed the moment of the glory it deserved. Fans have echoed those feelings, saying the announcement was rushed, messy, and overshadowed by unanswered questions about Jon Jones. For Tom's father, it wasn't just about the belt. It was about giving his son the respect he had earned.
You said the timeline for Jones, 2 weeks to decide what to do with the title, whether it takes the fight or you're going to strip him. What do you think is more important, to keep the belt there so he can uphold his legacy, or we move the heavyweight division, take the title away from him?
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
And John had been telling us for quite some time, I already told the UFC my plans. I'm not sure why they haven't done anything with it. But it seems as though as he continued to try and hint at what his plans were, the UFC felt like their hand was forced and they had to put it out there. Because at this point, what are we waiting for? Now, Tom Aspinall is coming to Las Vegas this week. He will be there back end of the week. He was told that a decision would be made by International Fight Week. Why I think this is ludicrous that it all went down like this was, we had waited so long for the resolution to this issue. Could they have not done something in Las Vegas in front of all the fans before the press conference, after the press conference, before the weigh-ins, after the weigh-ins, in the middle of the card on Saturday, before the fight, after the fight, presenting Tom with the belt, saying, you are the man, this is the glamour division, you are the baddest man on the planet, you're the heavyweight champion, you've done it all right, everything we've asked of you. Why not do it like that? He's literally going to be there in a couple of days. Where every media member, every fan is going to be there. You do it like this? In a throwaway, midway through a press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, in the middle of the night over there, when no one's paying attention, you do it like that? What is that?
When you're an interim champion, they only make an interim champion when the champion cannot defend the belt. So for Jon Jones, he couldn't defend the belt because he tore his pec muscle. So the interim champion means he should be fighting the champion right off the bat. That's not the case with Jon Jones, right? Because Jon Jones is going to fight Stipe Miocic. So the interim champion is supposed to sit there and wait. But by law, in like the regulations, once Jon Jones steps in the cage, he is stripped of his interim champion because the champion has returned. There is no longer for an interim champion. What is the point of having an interim champion when the champion is ready to fight?
This is the only sport in the world you can have somebody hold your career back.
Yep. I've been almost a year inactive with no prospects of anything. Just be ready, and we'll just let you know.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of difficult, like mentally, to.
Oh yeah.
This is the fight against Jon Jones. Like, not the fight is another thing.
Yeah.
This is the tricky bit where I really have to stay switched on, stay motivated, and I'm trying my best. I'm trying. It's tough. As you said a minute ago, no one really knows what's going on behind the scenes apart from me.
Exactly. You're in office cooking.
I train all the time anyway. Just because I've not got a fight doesn't mean I don't train. Like, I honestly can see John's point of view. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. It's just about the title for me.
Yep.
I just want the title. That's it.
Yep.
Does nothing else really matter. So
You're like, let me do my thing. Let me fight.
I just want to fight.
And I think that's the respectable way to go about it. It's like, you don't care if it's John, and it's no disrespect to John. It's no disrespect to anybody out there. You're just trying to fight. Yep. I just want to fight.
Yep.
Nah, man. John's retired. What are we talking about, guys? This is John. You guys don't follow John on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that.
No, me too, actually. Me too. But the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career. We all know. We know John's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And you know, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. You know, the contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So John's retired and it's time that we move on.
Retired John Jones. Just as he predicted, Tom Aspinall, over a year ago, I think, said, I will retire this man without even having to fight him. He's never going to fight me. And despite all the umming and ahhing and all the fucking pretending that he was going to actually ever get in the cage with Tom Aspinall, John Jones has done what we always knew he was going to do. He's tucked tail and ran. Imagine calling yourself a goat and yet behaving like such a duck. I mean, this is like back in the playground. John Jones has got a bike. Tom Aspinall's come over and goes, give us your bike now. What you have to do then is fight. You have to defend what your shit is and say, no, you're not going to take this. And do you know what John Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what John Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests, go in there and test yourself against everyone? And John Jones proved, without a shadow of a doubt, his biggest test, stepped up and he bottled it well and truly. Remember this clip from like over a year ago when John actually met Tom in person?
Respect, man. All the best. Respect. All the best. Do a quick picture. Sure. Yeah? Let's get it. A face-off. No, okay.
He wouldn't even face off with Tom Aspinall, let alone get in a cage with him. And after all of the fannying around and waiting for John Jones to man up and strap his balls on and defend his heavyweight title, because you've never really earned it. You beat a guy who wasn't even the champion. You beat Stipe. Oh my God, what a farce that fight was. That will go down as the most pointless, pathetic fight I can imagine.
For a fighter like Tom, someone who's waited his turn, trained tirelessly, and answered the call when the division needed him most, this should have been a defining, career-making moment. Instead, it's become another example of why the MMA community is criticizing the UFC's handling of the situation. John Jones was never stripped of his title when the timing called for it. Instead, he spent months posting from overseas, speaking vaguely, and leaving both fans and Tom stuck in uncertainty. Rather than setting a clear direction for the division, the UFC allowed Jones to dictate the pace. They delayed, they hesitated. And now, with Jones stepping away, Tom's championship moment feels like it was treated as an afterthought.
Like, surely we can't be that apathetic about the product. Surely we can't care that little about the state of things. This is the heavyweight championship of the world. That's how you announce that Tom Aspinall is the king? That's how you announce that John Jones is retired? That's massive news. When Michael Jordan, the GOAT of his sport, retired, there was a huge press conference. And every single media member under the sun was there. John Jones's retirement is a throwaway, midway question in a press conference in the middle of the night in Baku, Azerbaijan. Does anyone else not see the lunacy in all of this? It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And so I was trying to figure out, why didn't they just wait? Why didn't they just wait? Why didn't they do something in Vegas, a presentation, a ceremony, something to make this feel big, special, to wash away the annoying nature of the past 7 or so months, as we are constantly told it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I guarantee it's going to happen. Up until recently, a couple of weeks ago to Jim Rome, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then 30 or so minutes after the press conference, the Albuquerque Journal drops a massive piece of news. The Albuquerque Journal, which has been covering Jon Jones for quite some time, and a reporter named Jeff Grammer, who we've had on the program before to talk about Holly Holm, been covering Jon, has been covering the Albuquerque fighters like Holly, like Michelle Watterson, all the Jackson Wing fighters. They drop this news literally minutes after the announcement. Jon Jones, the oft embattled Albuquerque resident, considered by many to be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, shocked the combat sports world Saturday when UFC President Dana White announced the fighter had retired. But the news didn't come before one more legal matter arose, one White did not reference in his Saturday afternoon announcement of Jones' retirement. The Journal has learned a criminal summons accusing Jones, 37, of a misdemeanor charge of leaving the scene of an accident in February was filed Tuesday in Metropolitan Court. I'm reading this now and I'm like, is this a story from like 9 years ago, 10 years, 11 years ago, when he left the scene of a hit and run? Because it's eerily similar. Jones has been called to appear for a bond arraignment on July 24th in Metro Court.
Jon accepted the fight, went to Thailand, came back, didn't want the fight. What happened?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that Thailand was the end of it. You know, we were talking about it before that. But yeah, the fight was done. We had the fight done a long time ago. So why he decided not to fight, you guys will have to ask him that.
Is it accurate? There's a lot of reports about figures he was offered. Is it fair to say he was offered a lot of money to take this fight?
Yeah. Listen, he was offered what he deserves for that fight. Yeah.
I'll just come out and ask you. Do you think he's ducking Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again. He's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. He's never ducked anybody. And, I think the reality is whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know. You'd have to ask him that. But, he's 38 years old and I don't know.
Do you think if it was someone like Alex Pereira, he would fight them? And it's maybe Tom that he specifically doesn't fancy the matchup, doesn't fancy the age difference?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to these questions. Only he does. We had the fight done. Listen, our job is to make the biggest fights we can make and the fights that the fans want to see. And that's what we try to do. But the minute somebody starts talking about retirement, my philosophy on that, you should do it.
Did you know about the stuff that came out of Albuquerque last night?
I saw it today. When I saw it today, I said, "Oh, everybody's gonna think this is why he retired. Maybe that is why he retired. Who the hell knows, man?" But I don't know. These are all questions you got to ask him. We had the fight done. You saw me talking about it very confidently that this fight was going to happen, and then he changed his mind.
Jon Jones. This is complicated. This is a lot more complicated than you might think. Let's start with this. One thing that Jon is going to find, and I assure you it will surprise him, is he's going to have naysayers like some of you, like me, like Daniel Cormier. He will have naysayers that are going to praise him. And he's going to look around and go, why are those guys praising me? And it's a very simple concept with artists, which is they become more valuable in death. Now, this is the death of a career, but it's still a death. And what Jon is going to come to find is naysayers, like some of you, like Daniel Cormier, like me, poke the bear in part because we enjoyed watching him that much. We poked the bear as a way of getting him into the ring so that we could watch him do his craft. That's part of being a fan. And it's a part that Jon never understood. But why would you try to talk him out of it? If you're one of his coaches or his brothers with all the success they have, if you're even one of his parents, why would you try to talk him out of that? He's found some kind of a formula. He's having resounding success. You gotta let it go. And I've heard so many different interviews that John has done over the years. And one thing about John's approach to a fight, we really saw this in the Stipe fight that you guys might even remember. But John needs to be the victim. It needs to be him against the world, and he's here to save the world.
Yet through all of this, Tom has stayed silent on the drama. No complaints, no excuses, just focus and discipline. Now that he holds a belt, he's making one promise Jon Jones never did: to keep the heavyweight division alive and active. Training is already underway, and he's targeting a September return. Whether it's Cyril Gane, Jailton Almeida, or even an unexpected late replacement, Tom is ready. No stalling, no politics. The real question now isn't just about his next opponent. It's whether the UFC will finally give him the spotlight and respect he's earned. Because make no mistake, Tom Aspinall didn't sit back and wait for this title to land in his lap. He went out, fought for it, and now he's ready to show the world that the heavyweight division is in the hands of a true champion.